I was lucky enough to catch this female Baltimore Oriole at the very initial stages of her building her nest. You can see there are just a few strands, and she's weaving them around the very top of a cottonwood tree. The entire time the female was weaving the nest on day one, the male was right beside her in the adjacent tree, either just below her or just above her, and would constantly give these single note calls. When she would take a break and leave to forage, he would often follow her and they would forage in the same tree. There were times where the female would leave for a brief break and the male would stay behind. If she took too long, I observed a very interesting behavior by the male, and where he would go directly to the nest site and stay there until she returned, all the while calling for her. That's when she would promptly return. There would be a very brief exchange of some vocalization between the two, and the male would go to his usual perch of just being in the next tree over. I saw this happen at least 3 times, and it really fascinated me. There was a clear communication between these two. They were looking for each other. There was definitely a bond there, and there was definitely concern there. It is in keeping with what science says. Scientists believe this behavior serves multiple purposes. It deters rival males during the vulnerable pre-egg laying phase. It reinforces the bond between the pair, and it helps coordinate their movements as they forage and build together. To me, it's just beyond heartwarming to watch, and truly poignant is the word that comes to mind. So during the first few hours that I observed this female on day one, it really seemed like she wasn't making much headway, at least from a human's point of view, from me watching with my human eyes. I got the sense that at times she was really trying to wind the fibers around particular twigs or spots. She was looking to do something intentional that with my eye, I couldn't tell what that was. But interestingly enough, by the end of day one, there was something that resembled a woven hanging plant holder. I'm guessing here, but I got the sense that the most tricky part and important part is forming the very initial foundation. And once that is set, each stage after that becomes easier to construct. I have to say, I'm so impressed with the acrobatics that these birds can do. I mean, this female was upside down many, many times. She was in very precarious positions, working hard. I mean, think about weaving something without any hands. It's just incredible how much she was able to construct, to create in a matter of days. When I arrived in the morning of day 2, definitely more work had been done overnight, as you can see here. And I had a second surprise on day 2. I discovered a second nest being built, and it too seemed to be at the initial stages. I continued to follow both nests, but this second nest was trickier to film and observe because, as you can see, the leaves have grown on the cottonwood tree and obscure the actual process that this sweet little female oriole is undergoing. I noticed that there are these rhythms of the oriole's nesting season. There's weaving and waiting, calling and returning, bond and instinct. And over the course of 7 days, what began as a few strands really became a suspended sanctuary, something that's ready to cradle the next chapter. What I was witnessing was not just nest construction, but daily cooperation, subtle vocal exchanges, and the quiet persistence of bird life. So here we are at the end of day 2. It's around 8 p.m. I've returned to see the state of the nest, and it's looking like a hanging little purse. I return in the morning, and there's been substantial work done. So here we are, day 3, and the bottom part, the cup portion, so to speak, of the nest is looking pretty dense and continuing to take form. The other thing I noticed was the male is no longer sitting in the adjacent tree. Again, I'm guessing, but he probably feels she's concealed enough that he can actually go to the trees opposite from the nest and a bit further where there were some apple trees. They love the apple blossoms, and I could see the male just a bit further off than his usual position, continuing to give his calls, but not directly beside. The other interesting thing was there were times where I came up to the nest to check on it, and I thought that the female was not there. It looked to me like, okay, she's taking a break. I would have to put my binoculars up to my eyes to look closely, because there were so many times where she really was in there and she was weaving, but she was so well hidden. I could barely even detect the movement that she was making. So I thought that was very cool, very interesting, and obviously a good thing for her. To me, I just kept thinking over and over, how does this bird know what to do? Clearly it was not shown this. I mean, many bird behaviors are taught. The young bird is taught or learns from the parent bird or the adult birds how to sing, how to forage, where to go for food. There are things like this that are learned. But when it comes to nest building, I'm guessing this is an innate behavior, an instinctual behavior. How is this done? To me, it is the most incredible part of this process, to watch this bird know what it needs to do and go through and do it. Even though it looks like it doesn't have a method to the madness at the very beginning, it clearly does. Day 4 was more of the same, where she continues to weave from within the nest cup, and to my human eye, I cannot see much change from outside, but according to the literature, Baltimore Orioles build their nest in 3 stages, utilizing different types of fibers for each phase. So the first is a sturdy outer bowl that's woven with flexible plant, animal, or human-made fibers for support. Then an inner bowl is constructed with springy fibers to maintain the nest's shape. And finally, a soft, downy lining of materials like milkweed, seed plumes, or feathers is added to create a comfortable space for the eggs and chicks. When I arrived on day 6, from the outside, the nest looked really ready and done. To me, that is. So when I peered with my binoculars and saw that she's still working on it, I was quite surprised. I thought for sure this was a done deal. But no, Mama Oriole knows best, and she knows there was more work to be done from within. And again, I don't know what she's doing in there, but it's going to be a safe haven for her eggs and soon to be little hatchlings. The nest is finished now, a silken pouch suspended in the canopy, shaped by instinct, patience, and the quiet persistence of a single bird. I'm excited for the next stage, egg laying and little hatchlings and fledglings that I can share with you. This is Birding with Kaliopi, where behavior becomes story and each observation reveals something new about the lives we share space with. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Birding with Kaliopi videos. Thanks for watching.